Namaskar students, we are now moving into the second school of the neoliberalism or liberalism as a school, one of the traditional schools of international relations. And today in neoliberalism, last lecture we did on sociological liberalism. In this lecture we will do on what we call interdependent liberalism. Interdependent liberalism has become very popular, especially in the post-Cold War international relations. And it is extremely important for us to understand who are the major thinkers of this school of international relations. See, interdependence basically has come in because most of you should remember that neoliberalism today has to a large extent to do with what we call international political economy. This whole idea that started from Susan Strange, that international politics or politics needs economics and economics needs politics. Both cannot be studied independent of each other, as we have been traditionally doing it. She thinks it's absolutely halfway, and which does not allow us to really understand either economics or politics, because the contention most of these interdependent school theorists is that where there is money, there is power, and where there is power, there is money, meaning both coexist. Politics is the study of power, and economics is the study of money. So it's very important for economists to have a good understanding of politics, and for political scientists to have a very good understanding of economics. This is the basis on which this school has brought in this concept of interdependence. Not only interdependence between politics and economics on a knowledge basis, but interdependence in international relations of these two aspects of international relations. Interdependence means what? Mutual dependence. Peoples and governments are affected by what happens elsewhere, by the actions of their counterparts in other countries. Thus, a higher level of transnational relations between countries means a higher level of interdependence. Reflects the process of modernization, which usually increases the level of interdependence between states. Interdependence, not only economic, but political and social as well. The person that we will consider in the school is Richard ROSECRANCE. Richard ROSECRANCE is an American political scientist. His research and teaching is focused on international relations, in particular the link between economics and international relations. The thing that I've been stressing to you in this entire lecture. His research and writing has also touched upon the study of history. ROSECRANCE is considered an adherent of the liberal international relations theory school. He has written two important books. He's written several books, but the two important books for us is the rise of the trading state and the rise of the virtual state. He has analyzed the effects of increased independence on the policies of states. Throughout history, states have sought power by means of military power and territorial expansion. For highly industrialized countries, economic development and foreign trade are more adequate and less costly means of achieving prominence and prosperity. The costs of using force have increased and the benefits have declined. The principal reason in the changing character and basis of economic production, which is linked to modernization. Key to greatness today: a highly qualified labor force, access to information, and financial capital are the keys to success. Trading states such as Japan and Germany They have refrained from the traditional political option of high military expenditure and economic self-sufficiency. They have chosen the trading option of an intensified international division of labor and increased interdependence. Trade lessens conflict. This is a philosophy that has been quite strong with many philosophers, that a high division of labor in the international economy increases interdependence between states, and that discourages and reduces violent conflict between states. 19th century French economist Frederick Basset's dictum, "When goods don't cross borders, the soldiers will." It is in the less developed countries that war now occurs, because at lower levels of economic development continues to be a dominant factor of production, and modernization and interdependence are far weaker. Because economists tell you, when you have your factories in the other country, you will not go and bomb that country. Amid the supposed clamor of contending cultures and civilizations, a new reality is emerging. The nation state is becoming a tighter, more vigorous unit capable of sustaining the pressures of worldwide competition. Developed states are putting aside military, political, and territorial ambitions as they struggle not for cultural dominance, but a greater share of the world output. Here, basically, this may be working with some other countries, but doesn't work with China at all. Though China is trying to become the global capital for the supply chain market. We have seen during the COVID crisis, it has shown that it wants to dominate militarily, and its territorial ambitions have not taken a backseat, but rather are trying to exploit the COVID crisis. So there is a lot of thinking to be done here for all of us. Instead, they are downsizing in function, if not in geographical form. Today and for the foreseeable future, the only international civilization worthy of the name is the governing economic culture of the world market. Despite the view of some contemporary observers, the forces of globalization have successfully resisted partition into cultural camps. The second major thinker that we have is Robert Owen KEOHANE. He is an American academic who is following the publication of his influential book After Hegemony, 1984, became widely associated with the theory of neoliberal institutionalism, as well as transnational relations and world politics and international relations in the 1970s. He is currently a professor of political science at the Woodrow Wilson School at Princeton University. A 2011 survey of international relations scholars placed KEOHANE second in terms of influence and quality of scholarship in the last 20 years. After Hegemony, approaches to explaining and understanding of all this. Robert KEOHANE, fragmentation of power between competing countries leads to fragmentation of the international economic regime. Concentration of power leads to stability. Hegemonic powers have the capabilities to maintain international regimes that they favor. Robert KEOHANE and Joseph Nye. They have brought in what we call complex interdependence and transnationalism, pluralism, and complex interdependence theory. Now, what is their theory? This theory is extremely important in contemporary international relations as well as international political economy. Power and independence, or what we call the politics of international economic relations. An ambitious attempt to set forth a general theory of what KEOHANE and Nye called complex interdependence. Relations between states nowadays are not only or even primarily relations between stakeholders. There are relations on many levels via many different actors and branches of government. There is a host of transnational relations between individuals and groups outside the state. Military force is less useful as an instrument of policy under conditions of complex interdependence. Consequently, international relations are becoming more like domestic politics. Different issues generate different coalitions, both within governments and across them, and involve different degrees of conflict. Power resources other than military ones are increasing importance for important negotiating skills. States become more preoccupied with low politics of welfare and less concerned with high politics of national security. Can we accept this? In the time of COVID, yes, low politics, health security has come to the forefront. But low politics has been used as an instrument of high politics, as an instrument of bioterror, because the China virus, which was called the COVID virus, is either as an accident came out of a military lab, or was it done it on purpose? Nobody has an idea. So is it an instrument of bioterror? Which again then becomes a question of high politics. So complex interdependence raises huge issues when we are trying to analyze the COVID or the China virus issue. Implies a far more friendly and cooperative relationship between states owing to increasing fragmentation and diffusion of power in economic affairs, stemming from the growing interconnectedness of national economies. States will pursue different goals simultaneously, and transnational actors such as non-governmental organizations or NGOs and transnational corporations both are not accountable, are private players, are non-state actors, and are not transparent. Will pursue their own goals free from state control. Recently, we have seen the role that the Amnesty International in India has played, an extremely fragmenting, diversive role against the Indian state. Power resources will most often be specific to issue areas. Importance of international organizations will increase. There are arenas of political actions to weak states. They animate coalition formation and they oversee the setting of international agendas. In the COVID crisis, at least the China virus, the WHO, the World Health Organization, as an international organization, lost its credibility. So if you see to a very large extent, the United States of America, the hegemonic power in the international system, walked out of the WHO. Where do we locate? On the time dimension, it appears to be connected with social modernization. The long-term development of the welfare state. All of you must have read T.H. Green and the welfare state, which picked up speed after 1950. On the space dimension, the industrialized pluralist countries, it grows as modernization unfolds. Here again, I would like most of you to be reminded that it is only open societies that are threatened. Countries like China, which is a closed communist authoritarian dictatorship, not much comes out. So you don't even know what exactly is happening within. The appropriate response to the changes occurring in world politics today is not to discredit the traditional wisdom of realism and its concern for the military balance of power, but to realize its limitations and to supplement it with insights from the liberal approach. What are the characteristics? If most of you see, the characteristics are the use of multiple channels of action, between societies in interstate, transgovernmental and transnational relationships. Meaning there's not a single channel, there are multiple channels. This is acceptable. The absence of a hierarchy of issues with changing agendas and linkages between issues prioritized and the objective of. So hierarchy of issues can change. For example, India, there is a new normal. With vis-a-vis China, we have now stood up to China and its, threatening postures on our border. We have improved relations with Taiwan and we are raising the Tibet issue once again. So there is a new normal and the hierarchy is changing. Third, bringing about a decline in the use of military force and coercive power in international relations. This is a question mark. We would love that to happen, but the economic power that China has got over the years has not made it less coercive, or there is no decline in the threat to use military force when it comes to China. Now, multiple actors, multiple channels that are present in complex interdependence are connect societies, including informal ties between government elites as well as formal foreign policy arrangements. The second type is informal ties among non-governmental elites, where contact usually happen either face-to-face or through telecommunication. That is something like your Aman Ki Asha programs and others that have been put up, or what we call type 2 diplomatic channels and others. The last type is transnational organizations, which include organizations such as multinational banks or corporations. A simple way of thinking of these concepts is by condensing them by calling them interstate, transgovernmental, and transnational relations. Therefore, multiple channels of communication, therefore these channels can be a way of communication for states and are a big part of complex interdependence. Interstate relations are thought to be normal channels by realists. It is also known as horizontal dimensions of federalism. Transgovernmental relations applies when we relax the realist assumption that states act coherently as units. Liberals believe that states can work together in order to enhance interdependence. Transnational relations applies when we relax the assumption that states are only the units. This is more of the liberal point of view that is evident throughout international relations because of the belief in institutions. Now, what is the criticism of this school? It is an ideal type, middle of the road position. The problem of how much the world has really changed is a question. Now you have America as the predominant power, but China as the challenger or the revisionist power. And how much of this will work for the analysis of China during the COVID crisis? Synthesis of neorealist liberal theories. 2012 more optimistic to complex interdependentism. China as an expansionist and imperial powers, the recent crisis, that is the China virus or the COVID, which has totally immobilized not only economy, everything in the international relations. Now, how would we summarize interdependent liberalism? Another major school in neoliberalism, extremely influential. Modernization increases the level and scope of interdependence between states. One of the ideas that has come out of the school is soft power by Joseph Nye. And now Joseph Nye says you need hard power with soft power, hence it becomes smart power. Transnational actors are increasingly becoming important. Military power is less an useful instrument. Here I would put a question mark after the COVID crisis and the way China has been threatening most of its neighbors. Welfare, not security, is becoming the primary goal and concern of states. That is a very important issue, especially for democracies and open societies. That means a world of more cooperative international relations. This is again, is it just cooperative or it is cooperative and conflictual, both going hand in hand? So with this, we finish this lecture and we'll go to the other two schools of neoliberalism in our next lecture. Thank you so much.